Well, I thought I'd hop on real quick and just do a video because this weekend we celebrate 250 years of America being a country, and that's a big deal. And I'm so very grateful for the country we live in. I love America, love and feel honored that I get to be a part of America and a part of this country. And I was a soldier. I was in the army, so I raised my hand and said that I would even give my life to protect the freedoms that this country upholds. And so, yeah, it's very special to me for sure. But we live in a confused world in this topic, and there's a lot of theologians and theologies out there that talk about things like Christian nationalism. In fact, that's a word right now out in the zeitgeist that a lot of us will have different reactions to and different understandings about what that means. And so let's think about that a little bit. Now, I'm going to say this. Two of our partnering churches have done great podcasts on this topic, and I would really encourage you to listen to them. So NorthPark Community Church with Pastor Luke Johnson, Pastor Luke Kiergaard, and our dear friend Pastor Drew Warner, they did a great job and recorded a great podcast really addressing this issue. And then HeadWaters, so Pastor Luke Such, Pastor Scott Minema, Pastor Justin Guess did a fantastic job. They have a 5-episode series really addressing this topic. And so I'll put podcasts there. It's a much more thorough than I'm going to get into here. I'll be much more simple about that, but I'll commend those to you and encourage you to listen to those. So here's what I want to address. So I want us to think about how we as Christians should function and think about this country, especially on this weekend. And I'm going to talk about it in this way. Let's talk about the past. Let's talk about the present. Let's talk about the future. And so first of all, when it comes to America, how should we think about it? We'll look to the past. And we should be grateful. We should look to the past, and our response should be, let's be grateful for the past. I think it's right to be grateful for the fact that our nation was founded on Christian biblical principles. Now, I'm not saying that all the founding fathers were believers, and they certainly didn't hold the same theology that I do, not all of them. But there is not a question the fact that there is biblical principles that grounded these men, that influenced these men as they wrote the Constitution. All you have to do is just think about we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. I mean, they're just admitting there is a Creator, and because of the Imago Dei, the image of God in us, we have certain rights. That's a biblical principle, and there's many examples we can look to be grateful for the fact that we have those principles and the fact that we have freedom of religion. They never intended for America to be solely and only Christian. They wrote the Constitution with the purpose of many religions flourishing and thriving. And so anyway, the freedom that we have to celebrate and to be a part of that and have religious freedom is a good thing, and be grateful for that. Personally, I'm also then, when I think about gratitude for the past, I'm also very grateful for the men and women who've laid down their lives to protect their freedoms. And throughout our country, there have been men and women who have stepped up and literally given their lives so that we can enjoy our freedoms and others can enjoy the same freedoms given by the same God for them. And I think that's certainly something to be grateful for. So think about the past. Let's be grateful. I want to talk about the future first. Think about the future, and I would say be hopeful. Be hopeful. No, I am not saying be hopeful that America is going to become a Christian nation one day. I'm not saying that. And I don't believe in a theology that would push me to say that the church's mission is to take over more and more, and even take over the public sector, take over government, and then usher in the kingdom of God. That's a theology I don't hold to. But there are some things I do hold to that do give me hope. I'm hopeful that the church will succeed. I'm hopeful that the gates of hell will not prevail against the church. And I'm hopeful that as we preach the gospel, people will come to know Christ. And I'm hopeful that we can impact our city, our world, our country with the gospel. And so I have a lot of hope that many people are going to come to know Christ. And you'll often hear me say at Redemption, I'm praying for thousands to come to know Christ through our influence. And I'm hopeful for that. Of course, ultimately, I'm hopeful not in a great America or not in a kingdom of America, but I'm hopeful in the kingdom of Jesus Christ. And he is coming again, and there will be, he's going to win, and he will establish his kingdom here on earth, I believe. And I'm hopeful for that day. I'm looking forward to that day. And so my hope does not rise and fall on the condition of this country. My hope rises and falls on the promises of God and the promises of Jesus Christ. And I cannot help but be hopeful as I think about that. So now let's talk about the present. So the past, be grateful. The future, be hopeful. The present, I would say, be faithful. be faithful. There is a mission that we have been called to make disciples for the glory of God through the power of the gospel. We've been called to that mission. And so let's be faithful to it. Let's love our neighbors. Let's preach the gospel. The greatest hope for your neighbor is not a great America. The greatest hope for your neighbor is Jesus Christ died for their sin and rose again. And that's what we need to give them. We need to give them the gospel. I'm so thankful in our church there's some that are impassioned politically and positioned politically, and they're out there. We should support and love those who are there in that public sector doing those things. I think it's a good thing. Again, we don't put our hope in a Christianized America, but we do put our hope in the gospel. And so let's be people who proclaim the gospel, preach the gospel, love others who are there, and we'll see what God will do. So hope that helps some. Just a way of thinking about our country, being excited for our country this weekend, and be grateful, be hopeful, be faithful, and we'll see what God will do for his glory in the coming time. And maybe we'll have hundreds of more years here. Probably he's coming soon, and I'll take that for sure. All right, thank you. You are loved.